Hi everybody and welcome back. So today we're going to be looking at the Profile 1.5 RDA by Wotofo and Mr.JustRight1, Joel of course. So this is an upgraded version of the original Profile RDA, which I will not lie to you, I use that pretty much every day. That is like my go-to squonk RDA. I'm very particular in what I squonk in and what I drip in, and that is definitely like my holy grail for squonking. So now they have the 1.5 version. Why? The reason being is because they made a couple changes that weren't in the original that they wanted to enhance in this one. The first one's going to be that the ceramic block has been made bigger. Actually, the whole deck has been made bigger. The deck now is 22.5 millimeters and the whole RDA is 24 millimeters. What they did was they actually thinned out the top cap and they expanded the deck a little bit to make it a little bit bigger. So your mesh strips are a little bit wider, your ceramic plate is a little bit wider, so everything's just a little bit bigger. In addition to that, they did change the airflow a little bit so that instead of the 3 holes or 3 rows of air holes, they've actually only got 2. One is on top and one is on the bottom. And yeah, well, let me just go ahead and take you down because why else am I doing this review, right? So let's go down, take a look at the Profile 1.5 by Wotofo and Mr.JustRight1. Okay, so here we are with the Profile 1.5 RDA by Mr.JustRight1 and Wotofo. It tells you everything that's included. On this side, you've got your scratch off authenticity, and then it says Profile Wotofo. Okay, then inside you're going to get your RDA, and in addition to the RDA, you're going to get a user manual, which it's one of those pamphlet ones that opens up like a booklet or like a newspaper, and it's going to give you instructions on how to actually wick it, or you can actually build a single coil on it. You're also going to get a package of extras. This has got a low profile drip tip. If you want it a little bit shorter than the one that it comes with it, you have it in here. It's also got your 510 pin if you don't want to squonk with it, and some extra O-rings and screws. You're going to get 3 pieces of mesh. They're different. They range the same, but they're all different. This one is the Next Mesh Chill. This is the Next Mesh Turbo. And then you've got Next Mesh Extreme, 0.16 resistance, 0.13 resistance, and 0.15 resistance. I'm actually going to use the Let's Chill. So I'm going to use that one and put the others aside. You're also going to get some tools in here. You're going to get an Allen key. You're also going to get a screwdriver, and then you're going to get this tool here. This tool here you will be using because this is how you're going to round your coil. We're going to actually put the mesh over it and then round it and build it. So I'm going to keep this out. And then you're going to get 3 pieces of cotton to wick it up. Okay, so here we are with the Profile 1.5 RDA by Wotofo and Mr.JustRight1. There are some changes between this one and the original, so I'm going to go over everything on this RDA as if it's new. So first off, you've got your 810 drip tip. The 810 drip tip will fit in here. It's whatever you want. But the main feature of this top cap is going to be the airflow. The airflow has changed. Before you actually had 3 rows, now you've only got 2, and they're separate. One is on top, one is on the bottom, but you can close them down. If you notice, I had a little bit of the top, so you can do the top one by one. When you get all the top done, if you keep spinning, the bottom starts closing down as well, and then you can close that down. And on this end, you're doing one of each side. And that's how you can actually adjust the airflow. It does have a removable top cap just like this. This is going to show you the step down feature. Now, as far as I know, what was told to me was that this is going to be an angled air, but it looks like they actually kept it straight. I don't see the angle on it. It looks like it was milled out, but it doesn't show that it's got that angle to it. So I just want to point that out. So there is no angle on the top portion. On the bottom, it is a 24 millimeter in diameter RDA, exactly like the original Profile. It does say Wotofo here. Then you've got Mr. Profile right here, Wotofo over here, Mr.JustRight1. It does protrude. Again, the squonk pin is already installed in it. And if you want to make it a solid 510 to drip in it, it does give you the other piece. So you'll unscrew this, screw them together, and then put it back in. It does have peak insulation around that. And it's also got your negative screw right there. So let's go ahead and take this apart so that you can see the changes on the deck. So looking at the changes of the deck, I'm going to point some out. First is going to be that this is definitely wider than the original deck. And it's a little bit squarer. The original deck was a little bit more smaller in size. They did enhance the deck. They actually made the deck a little bit bigger and the top cap thinner so that they could get more room on the build deck. Also, they put these little slits in here on the ceramic piece, and this is supposed to be so when it's squonky and it's coming up, this way there's going to be a way for the e-liquid to actually escape from underneath the cotton and get into your juice wells. Another change that they made again is that it's wider, but they did not change these opening up. When these open up, they're not spring loaded. It's going to be the same as they were. Now, one spring that they did enhance is the spring that goes under this plate is definitely a lot firmer than the original. In the original RDA, I actually put both springs because they did allow you a second one in the package. I actually put both of them in here to make it a little bit more firmer. And this is about the same without having to double it up. So I really like that they improved that. And then of course you've got your Phillips head screws on either side. And when you open it up, they do open up like this. So it makes it easier to build on. It's not necessarily spring loaded, but they open up fairly easy. So once you unscrew it, see, they fall open just like that. So you will be able to just put in your mesh. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and get to building this thing so that you can see it in all its glory. Now, the way that I'm going to wick it is actually the way that Wotofo does suggest. I do personally wick it a different way, which I do have a video, which I have a video on how to wick the profile RDA, and it's basically the same way that I'm going to be wicking this. But I do want to show you the way that Wotofo actually suggests it. So what you're going to do is you're going to get your mesh strip, whichever one that you choose, and you're just going to put it on here, and you're just going to lay it down like this, and then move your tool back and forth in a rounding motion to round out that coil, just like that. Once that's done, it's nice and rounded. Just go ahead and put it down. I always grab my ceramic tweezers, and this is just my way, and I just go and set it in there, and it fits. It usually sets right perfect in there. Oops. So we got one on this side and then one on this side. Just like that. So now it's in. So now I can screw it down. Don't put any pressure on the mesh because it will change and deform it. And then you'll have to fix it again. So I'm just going to go ahead and tighten that down. Make sure that it's in there. And then I'm going to just put my finger on it lightly. Just to hold that down, and I'm going to screw this one down. I'm actually doing it right from the side just to hold it in place. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that tool again that they provided, and on the other end I'm actually just going to put it under here and just make sure it's rounding before I start heating it. See, there you go. Now it's nice and rounded. So let me go ahead and turn this baby on, and we'll start dry firing it. I'm going to reduce it to about 13.5 watts, and let's go ahead and dry fire it. We want to make sure that it's heating up evenly and that there's no hot spots, but it's heating up perfectly. So now it's time to wick it. And then all you have to do is you take your cotton and you put it through. Now again, this is a bigger build deck than the original profile, so this cotton's going to fit in there a little bit better than it did initially. Initially, it was kind of hard to put it in because it was really thin and there wasn't that much room, but this is definitely a bigger deck. And a secret to it is pull this side while you're pulling this side, and it actually thins it out and makes it easier to put it so that you're not going to be ripping up your coil. A lot of people just try to tug it this way, but when you do, you're actually pulling on the mesh coil. So if you pull on both ends, it makes it go through a lot easier. And that's the way that I do it, and it's always worked for me that way a little bit better. So I'm just going to do it like this, and then go ahead and get my scissors because you can use this a couple times. I'm just going to cut it right there. And then I'm going to go over here, and I'm just going to cut it right there. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make like a little bow tie here. Just like that. Like this. There we go. Nice little bow tie. And then again, according to Wotofo suggestions and the way that people usually cut this, I'm going to go ahead and cut it like this. Now for me personally, I like to cut it from underneath and just take off the bottom pieces, but this is how they want it done. So I'm gonna go ahead and show it the way that they do it. So you're just gonna do it at an angle, and then I'm gonna do this one at an angle, just like that as well. There we go. We got angles, and then I'm gonna trim off a little bit of the end because I don't want it to go too far off the deck. A little bit off this one, make it even. And I do like to fluff out my ends. I am an end fluffer because to me, I feel like it absorbs a little bit more e-liquid that way. So that is one thing I do, and I'm sorry, but that's what I like to do. So I'm gonna do that. You can cut off any excesses or just pull it off. Either way you like it. I like a clean cut. And then you're just gonna fold it right into the build deck, just like this. Okay. If I have it on camera. So there's one side, and then I'm just gonna do the same thing with the other side. Fluff it down a little bit. I want those ends to be nice and wispy so that it'll saturate it good. Just even that out again. And then go ahead and drop it in the build deck. There we go. And there we are. There's basically nothing else to do. It looks absolutely perfect. Now, whenever you do have anything, any new wicking done, so you've just put fresh cotton, I don't care if you're changing your coil or not, you definitely want to go ahead and try to help it prime up first, not just by squonking. Like I'm going to squonk it, but it's not going to get saturated until I start doing it from the top. We want the cotton underneath the coil to get saturated as well. So what I'm going to do is grab my e-liquid, and I'm going to go ahead and start saturating it from the top. There you go. I'm going to put it right on the mesh. Right there. Pulse it. More on the mesh. Pulse it because I want it to get saturated with right underneath that coil. That is really, really important, especially when you're dealing with mesh. There you go. I'm going to wet the sides a little bit. Not too much because, well, I got the wicking from the bottom or the squonking from the bottom and then the part from up here. And we're pretty much ready to go. There we are. So grab the top cap. The top cap does have notches in it right there and right there. So all I need to do is just go ahead and line it up with the notches right here and right there. And it's good. Or you could just put it on and spin it. It'll find the notches as well. There we go. Take off the cotton all around it, and we're ready to squonk the Profile 1.5 RDA by Mr.JustRight1 and Wotofo. Okay, so here we are back on top with the Profile 1.5 RDA by Wotofo and Mr.JustRight1. Let's go ahead and have a vape, and then we'll talk more about it. Okay. So first I'm going to go over my pros and then I'm going to go over my cons. The first pro is going to be the fact that I love what he did with the ceramic plate. I absolutely love it. With my original Profile RDA, as I mentioned down below, I did take both springs and I put them underneath my ceramic plate because I felt like it wasn't stiff enough. So I do like that. In this one, I don't have to do that. They did stiffen up the springs under the plate just a little bit and it works perfectly. Another thing is that now the mesh strips are even a little bit wider, which I think has a lot more surface area, which is actually giving you more of a warm vape, in my opinion. It's just, a lot of people were complaining that it was a cool vape and, you know, going over 60 was like unheard of. Now they're actually ranged between 60 and 80 watts. So you can have a warmer vape with mesh and it's safe. So I really like that. Another thing is that now that they actually made it a little bit wider and that plate is a little bit stiffer, it feels like the cotton goes in a little bit better, but I do suggest holding it from both ends and pulling when you're running it through so that you don't actually move the mesh or damage it in any way. That is just one little piece of advice that I want to give you because I've been using the Profile for so long. I know exactly how to wick it and everything. So I think that that's really, really key. Another thing in this is that you can do the wicking either way. You can do it with the slanted like I did it down below, or you can do it like I do it where I lift it up and I take half of the bottom out and then you fold it under. Either way works really well. I like my method for my original profile. That's the way that I've always done it since I had it, and it works just beautifully for me. It doesn't feel like there's way too much cotton. With this bigger deck, even it being that everything is a little bit wider, it doesn't give that feel of having too much cotton when you do it the original way. So I want to let you know about that, because with the other one, it felt like you just had way, even when you were cutting it at an angle, it was just still too much cotton. In this one, I feel like it just fits perfectly. It's really weird how it works. They didn't make the clamp spring-loaded, but as you can see, they do open up just as easily. I personally do like spring-loaded clamps, but in this device, it's not really necessary. So I see why they didn't go ahead and do something like that. Another huge pro to me is going to be the fact that they actually thinned down the top cap and they opened up the build deck. I love bigger, airier decks, and this has it. I feel like it's got so much more airflow because that deck is opened up now, and it's like the mesh is a little bit shorter, but because it takes a little. It opens up just a little bit more to fit in those slots. So it's a little bit shorter, but it's bigger. So I really, really like that change that they did in it. It's got definitely more airflow than the original, even wide open. So if I open this up wide, go ahead and open it up. Both slots are now open. Let's go ahead and make sure it's squonked.
Don't want to do it without it. Definitely not on a mess.
And let's go ahead and have a vape. That's at 62 watts. I'm going to bump that up. Now that I can bump it up, let's go ahead and do it. So now I've got it at 78 watts. So now it's at 78. Let's go ahead and have a vape. Definitely a lot of airflow, but it takes away from a little bit from the flavor. That's the only downside to it. You can have as much airflow as you want, but it is going to bring down the flavor just a notch or two. So personally, I do like it with I don't close out the top airflow all the way. I close it down to having 2 holes open, and then the bottom is fully wide open. Let me see if you can see that. Where is it? There you go. So I've got 2 holes open and then fully open on the bottom. That's my perfect vape. That is the vape that just, it thrives. It gives me the flavor. It gives me that mesh flavor. It's beautiful all around. I'm getting the airflow I like. I'm getting the flavor that I like. It's not too restrictive. Now you can close off the top airflow completely. It does restrict it a little bit more, but for me, having those 2 airflow holes on the top open as well does give me just that little bit of air more that I need than the bottom being opened only. So I do like that. It does come with 2 drip tips. You've got the low profile, you've got the taller one. So that is definitely a pro when they include 2 drip tips. I love that. I just don't like low profile drip tips because in my mouth it feels like it's on the RDA, and it does get, being that this can go up higher in wattage and it's a warmer vape, the top cap will get warm. It's not getting scorching hot, but it will get warm the higher that you go. It's just inevitable. It's science. It's not rocket science. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. The design logo, very, very similar to the original one, so it doesn't bother me. Everything else about it, I think is just great. They give you 3 mesh coils. They give you 3 pieces of cotton, so you're ready to go. And I'm telling you, you can actually use the other half of the cotton like I did down below. I only cut off like a certain amount. I can still use half of it to rewick it. So the length that they give you, it's really like 6 in my opinion. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. They give you the tools that you need, which I do recommend doing that with your mesh coils when you do go ahead and change out your coils. But 3 different types of coils. Again, I do have the chill one, which again, this is rated at 60 to 80 watts. It is made of Canthal, but it works for me. This is like the one that I like the best, but it is definitely a warmer vape, which I do like. I didn't even know I was missing it with the profile, but I really like it on the profile 1.5. Only con that I had was the one that I mentioned about the top airflow, because the fact that they said that they were going to be making it angled down. I feel like if it was angled down, it would have been a different vape altogether with it being wide open. But being that it's not angled, it looks like it was starting to be angled, but they didn't fully angle it. So that to me, I just feel like that top row is going straight over the mesh coil and just filling up with air. I don't feel like it's hitting the coil at all to give it that flavor, which is why I close off the majority of the top row except for 2 holes, just to give it a little bit more airflow, and it's very, very flavorful like that. So yeah, do I like it? Yes. Do I like it as much as the other profile? Yes, I do. I like the airflow a little bit better in the original than I do in this one. Not that it's bad, but I'm maybe because I'm just so used to the original profile, but I love the deck on this one. The deck on here and having a warm vape, it makes a big difference to me. So it makes me gravitate towards this one a little bit more than my original one. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. Let me know your opinions down below. Is it something that you were looking for? Do you like a warmer vape? Did you have the profile? Did you like it because it was a cooler vape? Let me know all your opinions down below about what your experience has been. If you've even tried it before, if you haven't, is this something that you want? And it comes in 6 colors. So you've got, I'll put those right up here. You've got all the colors. The rainbow one has always been my favorite. So the rainbow one, of course, then you've got the blue, you've got the gold, you've got the gunmetal, you've got the stainless steel, you got the black. I mean, just beautiful colors all around. Nice warm vape, 78 watts. It's working perfectly for me. I don't necessarily have to bump it up anymore. If you want to bump it up, you can, but I personally think that it's just perfectly just right here. But that's it for my review. If you liked the review, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like the review, give it a thumbs down. And if you have any comments or questions, please leave it down below and I'll be able to answer your questions, and I will see you in the next one.